Hello there, I'm Sabrina Zainal and thanks for joining me this Wednesday on 7Edition. The headlines. Government and police file forfeiture suit against Datuk Sri Najib and wife. Macau Scam syndicate mastermind among 16 nab. And blast at Pakistan's oldest shrine kills 10. We begin with this story. The funds received through the repatriation of One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB assets will be used to service the fund's debts amounting to 51 billion ringgit. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng said the funds will also be used to pay legal and litigation costs arising from efforts to repatriate and dispose 1MDB assets around the world. In a statement, he said this sum includes the amount of interest borne and loans from the Finance Ministry of 8.6 billion ringgit that were used to repay 1MDB's debts to date. Yesterday, the Attorney General's Chambers announced that 1.3 billion ringgit from 1MDB assets are to be returned to Malaysia following the U.S. Department of Justice's Kleptocracy Asset Recovery Initiative. This amount constitutes a portion of the $4.5 billion that the DOJ found to have been wrongly diverted from 1MDB. Now, the government and the police have filed a civil forfeiture suit against Datuk Sri Najib Tun Razak, his wife Datuk Sri Rosmah Mansor, and several others in relation to jewellery, cash, handbags and luxury vehicles said to have been bought using One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB funds. Bukit Aman IGP Secretariat Anti-Money Laundering Division Chief Datuk Khalil Azlan Chik confirmed that the move followed 2 notices of motion and supporting affidavits filed at the Kuala Lumpur High Court yesterday to seize a total of 720 million ringgit worth of items from those individuals. According to Datuk Khalil, the action was a follow-up to the seizure of the valuables by police last year at properties within the Bukit Bintang area and other places. The first notice of motion filed yesterday is to seize a property in the Klang Valley, cash including foreign currencies, jewellery, handbags, watches and sunglasses said to be worth 680 million ringgit. The second notice of motion is to seize 31 million ringgit worth of items, including 27 luxury cars, cash including in foreign currencies, 29 bank accounts, as well as more watches and bags. It was understood that the hearing of the application will take as long as a month. The civil forfeiture action filed yesterday comes less than a year after the items were confiscated. Under the Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act, a seizure order made under the Act will cease to have effect after the expiration of 12 months from the date of the seizure order. If there is a prior freezing order, the 12 months will run from the date of the freezing order if the person against whom the order was made has not been charged with an offence under the Act. The 12-month deadline in this case falls on May 16th. Meanwhile, the Kuala Lumpur High Court today fixed May 24th to hear the prosecution's application for a joint trial of Datin Sri Rosmah's money laundering and 1.5 million ringgit bribery cases and her former aide Datuk Rizal Mansur's graft case, both involving a project to supply solar energy to rural schools in Sarawak. Datin Sri Rosmah is facing 17 charges under the Anti-Money Laundering, Anti-Terrorism Financing and Proceeds of Unlawful Activities Act, and High Court Judge Muhamad Zaini Mazlan set the hearing date when the 3 cases were called up for mention today. After hearing the prosecution's and defense's arguments, the judge ruled that he would like to proceed with the hearing of the joint trial application. Previously, the Attorney General's Chambers had made an oral application for a joint trial of the 3 cases. The Royal Commission of Inquiry, RCI, into the discovery of temporary transit camps and mass graves in Wang Kelian Perlis continues today. The seventh day of the proceeding began with witness number 20, Perlis High Court Senior Assistant Registrar Nurul Hafzan Abdul Aziz, testifying. She previously testified on witness statement during a trial on a case involving the smuggling of illegal immigrants into the country. Another witness, former Malay male journalist S. Arul Das, also testified on his article on the case, which was published by a newspaper on March 2015. The RCI, held at the Home Ministry's Dewan Gemilang, was set up to review all documents and evidence relating to the human trafficking case. In 2015, the nation was shocked with the discovery of 139 graves and 28 human trafficking camps at the peak of Bukit Wang Burma in Wang Kelian, located at the Malaysian-Thai border. Former Chief Justice Tun Arifin Zakaria is chairing the RCI, which comprised 7 members with former Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Norian Mai as the deputy chairman. In Johor, 4 men were fined 1,000 ringgit each by the Johor Bahru Magistrates Court today after pleading guilty to transporting 13 chickens into the state in an express bus in April last year. They were given the punishment for violating the Johor Avian Influenza Control Area, which regulates the import of fowls to curb the spread of bird flu. The accused, 47-year-old Fauzi Yazid, Nik Nur Ilham Muhammad, aged 41, as well as Muhammad Zulhilmi Amzar Zuhaimi and Raja Al-Faizal Raja Azlan, both 27, committed the offence involving 9 live chickens and 4 dead ones at the Larkin Central Terminal on April 7, 2018. The charge provides a fine of up to 15,000 ringgit upon conviction. Magistrate Nur Asidah A. Rahman ordered the 4 men to spend 3 weeks in jail if they fail to pay the fine. Now, an unemployed man has been arrested for robbing his ex-wife at knifepoint in front of a mosque in Felda Jendera Utara, Temerloh, Pahang. The 32-year-old suspect was detained early this morning before being brought to the Temerloh Magistrates Court to be remanded. The court's assistant registrar, Hayatul Hafifi Hisham, issued the 5-day remand order, which begins today. In the April 26th incident, the suspect was alleged to have stopped the 31-year-old victim, who was on the way to her employer's house in Felda Jendera Utara, Temerloh. The victim was with her child during the 7:50 p.m. incident. The suspect was alleged to have acted aggressively by pointing a knife at the thigh and neck before fleeing with her wallet, which was placed in the basket of her motorcycle. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code. Moving on, Selangor police have busted a Macau Scam syndicate with the arrest of its mastermind and 15 others, including 2 teenagers. Authorities are saying the ring is connected to 38 cases of Macau scams nationwide, with 11 of those in Selangor. The syndicate is believed to have recruited the suspects as customer service officers with a monthly salary of between 2,500 and 3,000 ringgit each. All the suspects have also been intensively trained by the syndicate to impersonate others. Their modus operandi involved the recruits to impersonate bank officers before deceiving victims into transferring money into another account.
Kemudahan penginapan, makan dan minum ditanggung oleh syndicate. Dan mereka ini diterima bekerja tanpa sebarang syarat-syarat kelulusan. Mengikut soal siasat yang dijalankan, apa yang kita dapat adalah mereka ini memohon kerja dengan sindiket ni melalui telefon ataupun perjumpaan di kedai-kedai makan lah. Dan di situ dia ada simple interview sebelum dia ambil bekerja.
Investigations revealed that the syndicate operated at several other premises and was often on the move to avoid detection by authorities. The suspects were picked up at Taman Serdang Perdana and Jalan Taman Sri Sentosa on April 29th. In the 2 raids, police also seized 9 mobile phones, 2 laptops, 23 impersonation papers, and documents containing personal data of victims. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code for fraud. So far this year, Selangor police have recorded 129 Macau Scam fraud cases involving losses amounting to some 7.5 million ringgit. Coming up next, Taekwondo versus Kung Fu, Mall Edition. The details next. Thanks for staying with us. The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission MCMC has denied allegations that certain individuals' mobile phones were being monitored and spied on by the authorities in the country. The Commission, in a statement, said such claims were false and baseless. It also said that as a regulatory body which oversees the development of the communications and multimedia industry, the MCMC does not monitor or spy on contents uploaded by users on WhatsApp. It added that the public should not easily believe or disseminate unverified information as it could cause confusion among the people. Now, the Human Rights Watch said as governments would make most of their reforms in the first year of governance, the pledges made in the Pakatan Harapan PH in its 14th General Election Manifesto with political commitment can be implemented without obstacles. Its Deputy Asia Director Phil Robertson said the PH coalition-led government should implement its human rights reforms and not follow the direction of political wind on what is popular or not. PH marks its first anniversary of being in power tomorrow. In its manifesto, it promised sweeping changes, including reforming key government institutions and revoking certain laws that were deemed to be repressive. Among the laws that were to be repealed were the Sedition Act, the Prevention of Crime Act, the Security Offences Special Measures Act, and the National Security Council Act. At a media conference today, Robertson said what would be an obstacle to PH to implement such reforms was an opposition playing disruptive politics.
And when I go meet with ministers, the refrain that I constantly hear from them is along the lines of, hey, if it's in the manifesto, we're going to do it. Last year, manifesto promised in Article 27 that the NSA will be revoked. It's not to be played around with, it's not to be tweaked, it's not to be amended, revoked. The grants of authority given in that act go well beyond what is needed in human rights respecting democracy, and the Pakatan Harapan was right to recognize the law needs to go. Now they need to find the political commitment to follow through on their promise.
Moving forward, Robertson also urged the government to reconsider its withdrawal from the Rome Statute.
Once you've made a decision that this is an important thing to do, you should follow through on that. We're hoping that the government will reconsider withdrawing from the Rome Statute, because we think that the International Criminal Court is a very important part of the infrastructure of the international human rights system.
Robertson added the political momentum is there for PH to serve the people with the 5-year mandate given to the coalition on May 9, 2018. He also urged the government to talk to their allies and work with the civil society, the media and trade unions in order to prepare groundwork and ensure progress in regards to the implementation of the reforms. In other news, part of the Masjid Haji Muhamad in Batu Buruk, Kuala Terengganu collapsed after Tarawih prayers last night. Fortunately, no one was injured in the incident, which occurred during heavy downpour at about 10:30 p.m. Initial investigations revealed that the area which collapsed involved the dome area, which is under repair works, causing the middle area of the mosque to be affected. It was understood that 4 people were reciting the Quran when the incident occurred, but they managed to escape unhurt.
Kami duduk tengah baca Quran, tiba-tiba kilat. Bunyi kilat, saya ingat macam kilat bunyi datang kilat, tapi rupa-rupanya runtuh. Dan kami pun berlindung di bawah bin yang lama itulah.
Dan semasa saya sedang menyimpan sejadah, tiba-tiba saya terdengar satu bunyi yang kuat daripada atas, seolah-olah macam ada benda yang nak jatuh. Maka saya telah lari meluru ke depan, dan dalam waktu yang sama saya dapati bahagian atas, iaitu bahagian pembinaan atas, telah runtuh.
Tiba-tiba terdengar bunyi kuat, macam gempa bumi. Jadi adik saya buka pintu, waktu itu tengah hujan lebat, dia buka pintu, dia kata kubah masjid utuh.
The mosque is now closed to the public temporarily following the incident. Masjid Haji Muhamad, which is more than 100 years old, can accommodate 1,000 people at a time. Just a few minutes before the breaking of fast yesterday, a 46-year-old medical assistant died after he was run over by a lorry. In the incident, Abdul Rasid Abdul Jalil, who was riding a motorbike, reportedly rammed into the back of a car, causing him to fall into the opposite lane. At that time, an oncoming lorry in the opposite lane did not manage to brake on time and ran over the victim. Abdul Rasid died at the scene near Jalan Desa Cofield, heading to Puncak Alam. His body has been taken to the Sungai Buloh Hospital for post-mortem. And now let's hop on to our daily segment Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making rounds in the cyber world today. Rivalry is good when it's healthy, but when it involves two different martial art disciplines, it could become intense or even turn ugly. That was exactly what happened in China last Thursday, when two groups of Kung Fu and Taekwondo students came face to face when they were out recruiting new members at a mall. And what happened next looked like it came straight out of an action movie. Here's the story. Members of a Kung Fu school decided to drum up some business for their organization by heading to a shopping center in Changshu, Jiangsu province to hand out flyers. Little did they know that another group comprising Taekwondo students were also there doing the same thing. It was believed that the two groups got into a heated argument before it turned physical, followed by multiple apparent cases of profanity. Thankfully, the police showed up before any other martial arts factions joined in the impromptu battle royale. 15 of the brawlers were detained for their part in the melee. Footage of the whole ordeal was uploaded through several YouTube accounts, accumulating over 200,000 views. According to Korea's Yonhap News, many Chinese internet users who watched the video left scathing comments such as, "Taekwondo is so weak." On the other hand, with Taekwondo being a Korean martial art, Korea's Cookmin Daily applauded the honorable conduct of the Taekwondo fighters who allegedly got down on the floor when the police came. Now here's another battle story, but this time it's lopsided. Also in China, this brief fight occurred in a gym last month between a buff guy and a petite man, all because of a bumping incident. Take a look. Based on a CCTV footage that circulated on social media, the bigger guy, who was a gym instructor, was seen angrily confronting the much smaller man after the latter accidentally bumped into him. All decked in his lifting belt, wrist straps, and gloves, the man in stripes gave a strong punch, but then this happened. Frustrated and in self-defense, the smaller guy was forced to retaliate to get away from the bully, letting loose a brutal left hook that knocked out the gym instructor. For such a big guy, he sure went down easily. Bank Negara Malaysia BNM's decision to cut the overnight policy rate OPR by 25 basis points to 3% yesterday was due to external factors that have dampened global trade and investments. According to Maybank IB research, the trade war risk amplified over the weekend as U.S. President Donald Trump renewed threats to raise tariffs on $200 billion in imports from China by 25% by this Friday. Affin Hwang Investment Bank Berhad concurred with the sentiment as prolonged external conflicts had dragged down Malaysia's gross domestic product, GDP, in the first quarter of this year, with global demand slowing. It also expects the country's GDP growth for 2019 to stay at 4.7%. As for RHB Bank, it said besides unresolved trade tensions which had dampened the global economy, heightened policy uncertainty which could lead to sharp financial market adjustments, while Alliance DBS Research said the cut will likely provide a boost towards economic growth as banks lower their lending rates, which could indirectly increase consumer spending power. On further rate cuts, AmBank Research said there is a chance of a second later this year or in early 2020 should potential incoming data remain weak. When we return, 7 inmates dead in Guatemala prison riot. Don't go away. Thanks for staying with us. Now on to foreign news. In the U.S., police arrested 2 suspects who opened fire at a school in Colorado on Tuesday, leaving 1 dead and 8 others wounded. Several of the injured were in critical condition, including some in surgery. Authorities said the 2 suspects, who both attended the STEM school Highlands Ranch, walked deep inside the school and engaged students in 2 classrooms.
We didn't really expect something like this, and we didn't hear any sort of threats. And obviously, there's a lot of things wandering around our minds, like who could have done this, why did it happen?
Yeah, it's not the thing you expect the last 3 days of your high school that have happened.
Authorities revealed there was no information of anyone being targeted. A handgun was recovered at the scene. No staff or teachers were hurt from the incident. STEM School Highlands Ranch, a kindergarten through 12th grade institution in central Colorado with a student population of around 1,800, is located around 8 kilometers by road from Columbine High School. In 1999, 2 heavily armed teens killed 12 students and 1 teacher at Columbine, at the time being the deadliest of such attacks in U.S. history. Next, a blast at one of Pakistan's oldest and most popular Sufi shrines killed at least 10 people, including 5 policemen, and wounded 24 in Lahore on Wednesday. Authorities say the blast may have been a suicide attack on a security vehicle and had targeted police in the area. Now, husks of vehicles littered the pavement near the shrine as first responders rushed to the scene while armed security forces fanned out in the area. The bombing, which a faction of Pakistani Taliban claimed by email, occurred near the entrance gate for female visitors to the 11th century Data Darbar Shrine, one of the largest Sufi shrines in South Asia. Police said they are still investigating the nature of the blast. The shrine has long been home to colorful Sufi festivals and a prime destination for the country's myriad Muslim sects, making it a soft target for terrorist attacks. Over in Guatemala, at least 7 inmates were killed in a prison riot in its capital, Guatemala City, on Tuesday. This drew some 1,500 soldiers and police officers dispatched to the scene to contain the violence. According to BBS, officials reported the incident was sparked by a fight between 2 convicts, one of whom was in an alleged state of intoxication. About 20 inmates were wounded from the riot and have been rushed to the hospital for treatment. Pavon Prison houses at least 4,000 convicts, despite originally being built for only 1,000 people in the 1970s. In 2016, 14 people were killed in a riot that broke out in the same prison. Now on to the Champions League. Liverpool are into their 2nd successive Champions League final after overcoming Barcelona with a stunning second leg fight back on an epic night at Anfield. Dubbed the greatest Champions League comeback of all time, the Reds produced an incredible display to overturn their 3-0 deficit from the Nou Camp with an unanswered 4-goal salvo in thrilling style. Liverpool had leveled the match 3-3 on aggregate by the 56th minute, courtesy of Divock Origi's early breakthrough and 2 in quick succession from the substitute Jorginho Wijnaldum. The tremendous spectacle culminated in the decisive moment in the 79th minute when Trent Alexander-Arnold took a quick corner and only one player was tuned in. It was Origi again rattling Barcelona and clipping his shot past Marc-Andre ter Stegen for a goal Anfield will never forget. The Reds will go for a 6th triumph in Madrid on June 1st, where they will meet either Ajax or Tottenham Hotspurs in the final. Vienna Zoo welcomes Yuan Yuan, its new male panda resident, recently flown all the way from China. 19-year-old Yuan Yuan, which was chosen as a new partner for the 18-year-old female panda Yang Yang, is expected to make his first public appearance at the end of May. I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thanks for tuning in and see you next time. Good night.